Hey guys, it's Geoff Keighley. I'm here in Vegas at DICE right now, but we're getting ready for the PlayStation Meeting 2013 here on GT. And so I thought I'd count down my 5 favorite Sony press conference moments over the past 20 years. I've been going to E3 since the beginning in 1995. There have been some incredible moments that I really enjoy being in the room when Sony makes big announcements. So here are my top 5 moments. E3 2000. This was when the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo premiered. An amazing moment. At the E3 show floor, when you walked by the Konami booth, there were thousands of people that would gather around the booth to watch the demo, and it would happen, I think it was like every hour. An amazing demo, an amazing moment for Sony, because Metal Gear Solid 2 didn't come out that year at the launch of the PlayStation 2. It came out the next year, but people were so excited about that game and the quality of the graphics that I think a lot of people bought a PlayStation 2 just hoping to eventually play Metal Gear Solid 2. So that's number 5. Number 4 was E3 2003. This was another Sony PlayStation 2 press conference, but at the end, the father of the PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi, came out for a surprise announcement, and he reached into his jacket pocket and he pulled out a little something. It was called a UMD disc, and he said, "This is a new format for Sony. We're going to launch our own handheld gaming system." I don't even know if they called it the PlayStation Portable at the time, but he just showed this disc, and he didn't even show the system. He just announced, we're going to get into the handheld space. At the time, you got to understand, this was a huge announcement, and that Nintendo had dominated the handheld space, and other people had tried to do handheld gaming systems. Complete shocking surprise. No one knew it was coming, and it was very exciting. And then, later on that year, they started to show what the PSP was actually going to look like. Number 3. This is the last PlayStation meeting that happened in 2011. This was the announcement of the Sony NGP, Next Generation Portable, or what's now known as the PlayStation Vita. Sony summoned all the media to Japan for one of these mysterious PlayStation meetings. They showed a lot of game demos. They had playable stuff there for people to check out, and they had some big announcements like Call of Duty announcing that they were going to do a special version of Call of Duty for the Vita. That didn't quite turn out that great if you played Black Ops Declassified last year. But it was a big announcement for Sony with a lot of content, and the reason I have this on the list is I think it's a great indicator that this next PlayStation meeting is going to be loaded with a lot of content, a lot of announcements. There was lots of speculation about how much will Sony show, what will they say. I think if you look back at that meeting in 2011, it's probably a good indication that we're going to see a lot of software, we're going to see hardware, and we're going to see some big announcements out of Sony on the 20th. Number 2, E3 2006. Of course, this has to be on the list. A legendary Sony press conference. This is where Kaz Hirai famously announced the $599 price tag for the PlayStation 3. This is where they really showed a lot of the games that were going to be coming out for launch of the system, and they also announced the 6-axis controller. They made a big deal of that. You'll probably remember the famous demo with Dylan Jobe on stage, kind of moving left and right with the 6-axis. And at the time, everyone was a little surprised because Sony said there wasn't going to be any rumble feature. So they said it was going to be an issue to communicate between the gyro and the rumble. There were some lawsuits at the time behind one of the companies that had the rumble technology, so people were wondering if Sony pulled it out because of that. And that was a tough press conference for Sony because the year before, they'd done such a great job getting people excited about the vision of PS3 that, in 2006, they had to show the real games and try and get people excited about the launch, even with an extraordinarily high price tag at $599 at E3 2006. And the number 1 Sony press conference moment, of course, it is E3 2005, the announcement of the PlayStation 3. This was an incredible press conference. It was so inspiring at the time to be sitting there to see all this news break. And that's what gets me so excited about this PlayStation meeting in New York next week, because that E3 2005, we saw the form factor of the PlayStation 3 for the first time. We saw some absolutely incredible demos. Everyone remembers probably the famous Killzone 2 demo video or target render, which actually ended up being, we found out later, was a CG movie. They did a pretty good job matching when the final game came out, but that was just, Ken Kutaragi's vision of the cyber world, and in 2005, nothing had leaked in advance. We sat down, we didn't know what to expect, and we saw some incredible game demos across a presentation that I think lasted like 2 hours. It started about an hour late, but it was a really amazing press conference that I think, as I said before, inspired a lot of us about where games could go in the future. So that's my #1 press conference moment. I'm really excited that hopefully next week we'll feel that same sense of inspiration at this PlayStation meeting in 2013. And we'll watch it all with you guys live right here on GameTrailers. See you then.
Is the next generation of gaming about to be revealed? On Wednesday, February 20th, be the first to know. Geoff Keighley and GT are live in New York City for the 2013 PlayStation meeting. Complete wall-to-wall coverage, all the breaking news as it happens live. GT, your source for the PlayStation meeting. Live coverage begins Wednesday, February 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, worldwide on GT.